The podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
So you are prospecting for gold in California at the time of the gold rush. You are spending time using your horses, your mules and wagons, and your oxen wagons, trying to find the biggest grouping of gold in California. And at the end of the day, you're going to be going to the saloon and playing poker to try to win that last claim.
Yeah, does that sound familiar to y'all? It didn't to me neither, but this is somewhat of what would happen in End of the Trail, Find Fortune in the California Gold Rush, a new game from Elf Creek Games on Kickstarter, and we have the pleasure of having on the podcast with us tonight Mike, who is the creator mastermind, or where do you fit in with End of the Trail, Mike?
I'm actually the designer of End of the Trail, and I'm one of the co-founders of Elf Creek Games.
Cool beans. Well, thanks for coming on Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf with us. We really appreciate it. So let's go rewind a little bit. So how did you get into board gaming?
Well, like most people that I know, I got into board gaming at a very young age, playing board games, with my parents, with my grandparents, with my cousins, with my neighbors. Games like Life, Connect 4, Monopoly, Risk, all games like that. And really didn't get into the hobby games until I moved up to Champaign, Illinois, from the St. Louis area, and started playing Settlers of Catan, started playing Carcassonne, and kind of just went from there. At one New Year's Eve party, the first New Year's Eve I was down there, I was introduced to Dominion. And from that point, I just fell in love with Dominion, and I wanted to see more games like this. So that's kind of where I started, and then like most people that get into the hobby, you spend a lot of money just trying to find the games that you're sure you're going to like, and then you go from there.
Cool beans. So besides End of the Trail, do you have a current favorite board game? They might take me out on the street and hang me if I let you pick your game.
Well, if I were to have a choice of any board game to play with you, Leaf, I would probably go with At the Gates of Loyang.
Why is that?
I just really like the way that Uwe Rosenberg kind of just boiled down all of his economic games into this simple game where there's card drafting, there's resource management. What you're doing in the game is you're running a farm, and you're taking your vegetables that you've grown to the Gates of Loyang to actually sell them to different customers at the gates. And then the way that you get victory points is to move up one victory point, you only have to spend $1 or a coin. And then to move up to the next victory point, let's say you're at 5 and you move up to 6. To move up to 7 points, you would have to pay 7 coin. So it's a very unforgiving game, but it's a very awesome game. And I really wish more people had the opportunity to play it.
Oh yeah, I never heard of that one. Is it newer or older?
It came out, I believe, in 2009. Tasty Minstrel actually just did a reprint of it last year. But it's a little lighter than his other economic games that everybody points to, like Le Havre and Agrylica. For one, you don't have to feed people in this game, which trips up a lot of people. But yeah, it's a good game. You should check it out.
Cool beans. And you brought up Dominion and stuff earlier. So do you have a favorite mechanic? And you talked about, I believe, Dominion. From what I've heard, it's deck building. I really like deck building. And then you talk about the economic part. Do you have a favorite mechanic?
Um, I do probably, and this is, I don't want to say this is cheating, but it's actually one of the mechanics that's in Into the Trail, and I think that's why it's one of my favorites. And that's multi-use cards. Yeah, and I really picked up on that from La Granja, was the game that I really kind of pointed to with multi-use cards.
Okay, I've never heard of that mechanic. What can you tell us about it?
So with multi-use cards, you have just multiple uses on each card that you're going to be playing. In La Granja, you can use it for an action, you can use it for a resource, or you can use it for a contract that you're going to fulfill later in the game. And Into the Trail, your multi-use cards have 3 uses. The first is it has the card rank and suit for the poker hand. It also has the action that you can use, so it'll have an ox, which will allow you to move 2 rows from the city, or a horse, which allows you to move anywhere on the gold fields. And then the third thing that you can use the card for in Into the Trail is you can discard the card for a monetary value whenever you buy cards during the supply phase, which is an auction during the game. So it's just multiple uses for a card. It just could be used in different ways.
So once you use the card, is it recycled into a discard pile or something, or can you use it again for a different kind of thing?
In La Granja, it gets discarded after you've used it for the thing you've decided to use it for. And Into the Trail, if you use it for the prospecting phase, which is where you're going out and you're searching for gold, then you have the opportunity to move it into your poker hand during the gambling phase. If you use it for payment for the monetary value during the supply phase, then it gets discarded. And after it gets discarded, it can come back up, if the deck refreshes. So.
Okay, cool. And so, from what you've been talking about, and just it's probably obvious to anybody who's listened to Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf for a while or ever heard of it, it sounds like you have a new Kickstarter game, a new game on Kickstarter, Into the Trail. What can you tell us about it, Mike?
Well, Into the Trail, you're, like I kind of said at the beginning of the game, you are prospecting for gold during the time of the gold rush in the 1840s. And what you're doing, you're using these multi-use cards that we just talked about. And you're using the actions on these cards to actually go out and look for gold on a number of tiles that you have set up as the gold fields. So what you'll do is you'll play a card, like let's say you play a horse card, and then you can look at any tile, and you're going to look at that tile, you're going to look at it in secret, and on the back of that tile is going to have a gold value on it. So you're going to look at that tile, and then you're going to decide, do I want to go ahead and stake my claim on this tile? And if I want to do that, then I'm going to just put a tent or a camp, which represents a number of your friends who are helping you stake your claim. Or you can actually press your luck. If you choose to press your luck, you're going to move your prospector to that tile, and then everybody else does their turn, and then you're able to play a second card. Now, if you play a second card, you go to another tile, you look at that. If the tile is lower, if the second tile is lower than the first tile, then you've busted and you do have to stake a claim on that second tile. If it's higher or the same, you have the same decision. Do I want to go ahead and claim it, or do I want to keep pressing my luck? The game's really quick. It's 3 rounds. After you go ahead and stake your claim, then the cards that you use to stake your claim, you can move over to your poker hand at the end of the round. And then at the end of the round, everybody gets dealt back up to 5 cards. And the first thing you do in every round, which is always the last thing that I explain for whatever reason, is you go through the bidding phase during the supply phase, which is where you can buy more cards to supplement your hand. So that's the first thing you do every round, and then you pick 2 to 3 cards that you're going to use during the prospecting phase. And then after you stake your claim, then you go ahead and move cards to your poker hand, and that represents a full round and into the trail.
Cool beans. And so then and after that you play poker with other people. Is that how it works, or?
Yeah, so you're building this poker hand over the game. So the maximum number of cards that you can have in the poker hand is 7 cards, and then you just build up the best 5-card hand. So think 7 cards stud, because you have your own set of cards, and then you just build your best 5-card hand. You get gold depending on the hand you get. If you have a straight flush, you get 4 gold. If you have full house, you get 3. If you have a high card, you get 0. And whoever has the highest ranking poker hand also gets to claim a 4th Foothills tile as kind of more incentive for winning the game, or winning the poker hand.
Okay, so it's one big poker game at the end of the game. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, it's at the end of the game. So you're building your poker hand throughout the game, and then at the end of the game is when you reveal your poker hand and when you get to claim that 4th tile if you win the poker hand.
Cool. So it's I know it's not as big as some of the other ones, but could you consider this to be somewhat of a deck building as you're building your, well, not building your hand building, I guess you would call it maybe?
I wouldn't really call it hand building. I would call it hand management. The poker aspect, yes, you're building a poker hand, but once it gets to that poker hand, you're not going to be able to actually access those cards except at the end of the game.
Okay.
Most of the time in deck building, you're constantly just building your deck. You're buying cards, you're putting the cards in your deck, and then eventually, hey, I'm going to get that card, and I'm going to be able to use it. This is more hand management because you're managing the cards that you're dealt from the beginning of the game, and you're trying to figure out, hey, what can I do to improve my poker hand? Also, what can I do to improve how far I can go out into the gold fields?
Cool beans. And it looks like you actually get some little, if you back the game, you get some little gold nuggets. Is that correct?
That is correct. With the deluxe version, you do get gold nuggets. That's just an easier way to keep track of how much gold you get at the end of the game for your poker hand.
Cool beans. So let's see here. Where'd the inspiration come from for this game?
The inspiration for this game, it came from I wanted a quick idea that I could implement pretty quick. This game was actually part of a game design competition in Champaign-Urbana called Cudoplays, and I just wanted a quick game that we were able to have multiple people play it, and basically just a game that you would pull out at the beginning of game night while you're waiting for your buddy to show up who runs late, or a game that you would use to end a game night.
Cool beans. So, was it a winner, or where'd you rank in the competition?
We won the Visual Design Award. So, we won the award due to the art, and then also the prototype that was turned in was actually laser cut.
Cool.
So it still kind of had that charcoal smell to it, which made the judges feel like they were they were around a campfire.
Well, there you go. Well, the ones, if somebody backs this, theirs probably won't smell like that, will it?
No, they won't.
Cool bean. So let's see here. Any of the other people that were in the competition have a Kickstarter going on, or?
Not right now. I know that people that have been in Cudoplays, two of them have Kickstarters. It wasn't the games that they actually had in Cudoplays that they kickstarted. One of which is Katie Khau and Jessica Chu. They are designers out of the Chicago area, who both went to the University of Illinois, which is in Champaign-Urbana. And they had a successful Kickstarter with Wind Up War through Bellwethergames last year. And then one of the Season 4 participants actually kickstarted a game. His name is BJ Gailey. Can't remember his company name, but the game was Victoriana. So it was a co-op game that was set in Victorian London. So people in the competition have kickstarted games. Also, Forced Perspective Entertainment, two of their games, Houdini's Poutini, and also Claim. Both of those, I know Claim was part of Cudoplays. I believe Houdini's Poutini was as well. So we do have a nice little design community in Champaign-Urbana, and we're located in a triangle between St. Louis, Chicago, and Indianapolis. So we spend time in all three of those cities as well, playtesting. We know designers in Chicago and St. Louis. So being where we're at, it's a great place for designing board games.
Cool. So how long has this competition been going on that you talk about?
This is the 5th year. This year. Last year was Season 4, which is the first year that I competed in it.
Okay, and then Gold Rush was part of Season 5 or Season 4?
Nope. Into the Trail was part of Season 4.
Okay.
So I started designing Into the Trail back in September of 2016. And then the competition ended in March of this year. And if you would have told me in February when I turned in the game to Cudoplays for judging, that we would be kickstarting this game now, I would not have believed you. I would have said, no, there's no way we're going to have, we're going to be able to get it ready and kickstart it. But here we are.
What happened? How did it get ready so quick?
Determination. That's the best way to describe how this happened. Brent and I talked about it, and we decided, hey, we're gonna do this. So we worked our rear ends off. We went to a bunch of different conventions showing the game off. We play tested the heck out of the game. We went to Geekway to the West, which is a convention in St. Louis, which is open play for the most part. We had a booth at Origins, which seemed like a risky proposition since we had nothing to sell there, but it also is the best way for us to get our name out there and to get our game out there. We are actually right across from Leader Games, the makers of Vast. And then we were right next to Mr. B Games and Shoot Again Games, which were Shoot Again is a smaller company, so we were blessed by a good location as well. And then we were at Gen Con, and we got some buzz going, and then we were like, okay, I think we're in a good place. And then we we decided when we were doing the Kickstarter, it got pushed back because of Hurricane Irma. Because the company that was making our Kickstarter video actually is based in Tampa.
Okay.
So Bryce Walter, who is the guy who is with We Make Games, who we worked with, he was spending time boarding up his house and boxing up stuff to get it to his in-laws, and we basically just told Bryce, hey man, take as much time as you need. He was fortunate that he wasn't as impacted as you kind of think about whenever there's a Category 3 hurricane coming at you. But yeah, I mean, this has all been part of the ride that we've gone through. So
cool. So did you guys hit the go button after the video got done?
After the video got done, we had some other things that we needed to finish, and then and I believe it was like 10:15 Tuesday morning. I was getting messages from friends that were like, hey, the Kickstarter's not up yet. And I'm like, well, it'll be up in a minute, don't worry. And then Brent pushed the button. I was actually at work all day, which I will never do that again on Kickstarter day one. I will make sure I'm off that day, because you want to be able to participate in all of the giveaways that we did. We were on Facebook Live. We gave away a Gloria to Rome black box edition that was still in shrink. Gave away multiple games, some of the hotness, Photosynthesis from Blue Orange Games, Caverna Cave versus Cave, and it was weird not being able to participate in those because I was at work. But Brent did a phenomenal job working on those videos, even though it looked like he was about to fall asleep towards the end of it. He's probably gotten a couple hours sleep every day for the past 2 weeks, probably. Not because of, not just because he was working on the Kickstarter page or getting stuff done, but also his dogs were sick, his baby is teething, a lot of things going on over at his house right now.
Oh boy, yeah, that's never fun. But yeah, it looks like all the work and stuff you guys did paid off. Whereas at the time of this recording, you're just about to double of what your goal was.
Yeah, right now we're at about 12,700, maybe a little less than that, and
Yeah, just like $3 less if you want to be technical.
Yeah, I mean we're doing a great job, and I'm really happy with where it's at right now. I'm really excited about our next stretch goal, which is the Outlaw expansion. So hopefully we can get that in the next couple days, and we can just keep the train moving. One of the things I've learned about Kickstarter throughout the years as being a backer is you got to keep backers excited, and you got to keep those pledges coming in. We have funded, which is amazing. That means the game is going to come to life. And now I just want to see how far we can go with this.
So do you
game.
I see that there's two, the Outlaw mini expansion as well as the Spot UV tiles, and then the other one's hidden. Do you have more stretch goals? Because it looks like you still have quite a few days left.
Yeah, we have more stretch goals. We're releasing them 3 at a time.
Cool.
So yeah, we have more stretch goals than what you're seeing.
Okay, well that's always a relief. Cool beans. And I want to say this. I want to say recently, as of recent, or maybe I'm going crazy, but there's been a lot of Western games. Am I right? Do you think?
There's been a couple RPGs that were on there that were on Kickstarter, and then Doomtown Reloaded actually was just re-kickstarted, which Doomtown Reloaded is a card game that gets expansions kind of like a living card game.
Okay,
So,
cool.
but there has been some some Western themed stuff going on.
Yeah, maybe it hasn't been anything super, but yeah, I've noticed a couple here and there Western themes. Cool, cool beans. So per se, somebody's fallen asleep at the road and they're about to. Hopefully, they don't hit that tree, but they've noticed a tree and they're swerved to miss it. They would have fallen asleep not because of your game or you. Probably they're tired of listening to my voice drone on and on in these podcasts. I released 6 the previous week or
Oh
whatnot.
wow.
So they're probably crazy. They're tired of listening to me. But luckily, they woke up before they hit that tree. Why should they take a chance on End of the Trail on Kickstarter, especially with all the great games that are on Kickstarter right now?
Well, there are a lot of great games out right now, and the reason why they should back End of the Trail first would be to just because of all of the different mechanics and the richness of gameplay that occurs during End of the Trail. There's a lot of things going on in a 20 to 40 minute package. If you like poker, this game's for you. If you like prospecting, this game's for you. If you like exploring tiles, it's definitely up your alley. But lastly, if you love multi-use cards, which I do, this game is definitely for you. It's a lot of people have liked what they've seen. Rado said it was a very unique way to do multi-use cards, a very new and unique way that he was excited about. But yeah, I hope that people will give Elf Creek Games a chance. This is the first of many games that we have planned, but you got to start with this one. This
Cool.
is the one that gets the company off the ground, and we'd love for you for potential backers to go out and to be part of that journey with us through this game and through the other games that we have in the pipeline that we're planning on doing.
Cool. Yeah. So you heard it here on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. So pull over to the side of the road after you get out of harm's way of that tree you almost hit, and go ahead and click on the show notes. We'll have everything listed there, so you can go ahead and back this before the campaign ends to help get the stretch goals and help get a great game. And it sounds like there's more in the dockets. Is there any dirt you can share with us on upcoming games with Getting Geeky with Game Relief?
Yeah, we've got one game that we are currently developing, which is a reprint. It's a revised edition of Atlantis Rising, which was a 2012 release. It was a Z-Man title that was released in 2012 that went out of print. That we're currently working with the designer, and we're also working with a new artist, Vincent Dutrait, on updating the art and updating the gameplay, and our goal is sometime in 2018 to kickstart that game.
Cool. So how does that go? Some of my listeners might be interested in taking a game that was already been out and it's out of print. How does something like that go? The process of like getting the rights and all that fun stuff of making a game come back to life.
Well, for our game, the rights had reverted back to the designer, and we were thinking about contacting him to see if he would be interested in giving us a shot, because we're first time publishers. Into the Trail is our first game.
Mm-hmm.
And Atlantis Rising is a game that I'm very excited about. It's a game that we were looking at, or Brent was looking at buying, just so we had it and we could play it and all that fun stuff. And then we kept checking to see, because people on Board Game Geek were asking if it was going to be reprinted. And then finally Brent sent a message over to the designer, talked to him, and we kind of made a decision with the designer that, if everything goes well, that we would go ahead and do a revised edition of Atlantis Rising. And yeah, I mean, it's different. The first thing you have to do is you have to figure out who has the rights to the game. If somebody wants to become a publisher and wants to, release a revised edition, you have to know who has the rights to the game, because that's who you have to contact. We were lucky that we knew from this reprint page that Galen had the rights to it. So we already knew who we needed to contact. And it just went from there.
Cool beans. And I see that it looks like they have until when to back this game if they're...
Wednesday, November 1st, I believe at 10 p.m. Central Time, I think is when it ends.
Yeah, it says 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, so that might be 9 p.m. Central, I believe, maybe.
No, yeah, it's set for 10 right now, so 10 p.m. Central Time is when
there you go. Cool.
when the project ends.
Cool beans. And I want one more. It looks like you can get the base game for $29, but I see something here. I'd no way be able to afford it or whatnot. There's so much stuff going on. But the 49er, where you get for $200, you get a fancy schmancy wood box. What is that going to be like?
The wood box, it's currently, the drawings are in production. It's something that would replace just the normal cardboard box. And I really can't give you too many details on that. From what I've seen, it looks amazing. I'm not trying to tease it all, but just with the information I have, I can't really disclose too much on the wood box. We are currently looking at how much the playmats are going to be as an add-on, which is something that you also get with the 49er and producer package. But yeah, I'm for all those 49er backers, if you're hearing this, thank you. And we know that the wood box is going to be great, and you guys will be happy with it.
Cool beans. Yeah, I remember. I want to say we got it on Kickstarter. I don't remember though, or maybe not. But flick them up. It had like a nice wood box. So yeah, cool. That'd be cool. So I like you said, I don't know if you've listened to any of the episodes or not, but the next part of our podcast is called Adventures in Application Acquisition, where we talk about an application, be it cell phone, tablet, computer, or video game, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be related to board gaming. But is there an application that you use a lot of?
I mean, right now I'm using a lot of the Kickstarter app.
Cool.
Just keeping track of the Kickstarter when I'm not near a computer. For my design, no. I mean, like the biggest application I guess that I use almost on a daily basis is Excel, just for development and for design purposes.
Cool. What do you like about it?
Just the ease of use, and of accessibility.
And that's a computer application, isn't it?
Yes, that's a computer application. It's part of the Microsoft Office suite. But it's a lot easier to do that than to just go through a ton of notebooks, seeing and just checking your notes. You're able to just look at the spreadsheet, look at the results, and adjust in the spreadsheet. I know that Brent uses Photoshop a lot for graphic design, which I'm going to start working on soon, just trying to get used to it, and that way all the graphic design is not in Brent's lap. It's something I would be able to help with. So.
Well, there you go. Yeah, and with that, I have that issue with the notebooks. Like I'll write in a notebook or whatnot, and then I'll misplace it. And my wife says, use a notebook that you already used. So yeah, that sounds like a great thing about Excel.
Mm-hmm.
So if you own the rights to it, what would be one thing you would do to make Excel a better application?
I try to figure out a way to streamline the formulas. But really, I mean, for what I use Excel for, it's fine now.
Cool beans. Yeah, so minus coming there to the Champaign, Illinois area and whatnot, minus doing that to stalk you guys, how would stalk you in person? How would people go about finding out about you guys or Elf Creek Games?
You can follow us on Twitter at Elf Creek Games. I'm also on Twitter at mhinson1982, and Brent is on Twitter at oldbrentish, BRENTISH. You can also go to our Facebook page for Elf Creek Games, and then we also have an Instagram page as well for Elf Creek Games, and then I also have a Instagram, and yeah, I mean, really the best way to keep in touch with us is probably on Facebook or on Twitter right now.
Cool. And plus, you look at the Kickstarter page, and we'll make sure we leave all those in the show notes and whatnot, so they can go ahead and do that, so they can follow you guys' progress and whatnot. But yeah, once again, we wanted to thank you, Mike, for coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem, Lake. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Gamer Leaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if Gamer Leaf's luck holds up.